We call to order the City Council meeting, City of Mayflower, October 24th, 2023, close to 7 p.m. Would you join me with saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good to see everyone here tonight. Barbara, would you go through the roll call, please?
Jennifer Massey. Here. Mark Hickman.
Here.
Zach Jeffrey.
Here.
Jack Paul.
Here.
Kyle Mark.
Here.
Zach Warren.
Here.
All right, thank you. Next, on the agenda, we have the approval of the minutes from our regular City Council meeting, September the 26th, 2023.
I make the motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you.
Second.
Have a second. We'll take a voice vote on this motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Next, we have the financial statement, September the 2023. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Barbara, we need a roll call vote on this.
Jennifer Massey.
Yes.
Mark Hickman.
Yes.
Zach Jeffrey.
Yes.
Jack Paul.
Yes.
Kyle Mark.
Yes.
Zach Warren.
Thank you. Under general, our next item is resolution 2023-10, our water and wastewater rate increase. Do we have a discussion on this, or is this where we would read the ordinance?
Just the title of there is a resolution.
Okay.
Resolution. It's resolution 2023-10, a resolution modifying consumer water rates for Mayflower Water Works. And it is a 3- and 4-year schedule based on this exhibit that you have there. That's the schedule for this year. The freshwater rate is 3 years, stepping up each year through 2027, and then the wastewater rate is a 4-year step up. It goes for the next 4 years.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion on this resolution?
We need a motion first and then discussion.
Yes.
Motion second to discussion.
Yeah, I make a motion to adopt resolution 2023-10.
Do we hear a second?
I'll second.
Zach, thank you. Now we have any discussion, questions?
The only question I have is on the annual increase going forward for both the water rates and wastewater rates. Instead of a fixed 3%, can we tie that to the inflation rate, consumer price index?
Would we need a motion to change
to amend
that?
it. Yeah. Motion to amend it.
Now, I know why the wastewater rates are going up. Can you remind me again why the water rates are going up? I know why waste is going up, but why was water going to go up too? I don't remember.
Raymond, would you mind addressing that?
If y'all remember, Act 605 that legislature passed in 2021, now it's a requirement that all cities, water and wastewater utilities meet those requirements, and those requirements are to have at least a 5%
Reserve.
reserve, thank you. Reserve loan funding there. Doesn't mean you have to keep that in place at all times every year. You can spend that as you go along as needed. The other thing is doing a rate study. They're requiring us to do a rate study every 5 years. I'm just trying to get us a little bit ahead of the ball, before that time comes, especially us applying for an application for A&RC for a loan. The bond loan, you know, we had, talked about at the beginning, the interest rates has gotten so high, so we let that alone, decided to go with the A&RC, because their interest rates are a lot lower. So, with that act, it makes a lot of requirements on the utility companies, and I just want to try to get us ahead of that game before we have to actually have it done. We're actually not supposed to have anything, start on anything until 2026, but us going ahead and applying for A&RC loan, we need to be ahead of that ball game. They're going to ask us, well, have you had a rate study done? Are you able to, are you physically able to fund this project with this loan? So that's one of the reasons why we're also increasing the water rates. Water rates haven't been increased since 2012. I'm kind of behind on that.
Well, wait a second.
I'm tired of that catch-up game. That catch-up game is a hard impact on our customers. If we keep in place a 3%, 4%, or whatever you may wish to have, will keep us in that place.
Raymond,
In the future, if we ever have to apply for another loan from A&RC or USDA, we'll have that funding in place. We can have a rate study to provide to them. They'll see that we're not in fossil distress. Of course, all those projects now have to go to A&RC for their approval too. We can't just say, hey, we want to do a project and send it to the health department and get their approval. We also have to have A&RC approval.
and that in the past has not been the case, right? There's been a lot of changes, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands that is a state law now, that we cannot get past that. So what we're doing is trying to get in compliance with the state, but also, would you, again, remind everyone when our last rate increase was in terms of water?
2012.
Yeah, our last rate increase
Yeah, and we
was
had a rate increase
2012.
$2.33. And the city council at that time decided to pass it on all at once. That was a hard impact on the customers.
Didn't you say also too that where we get our water from is raising our rate?
Yes.
Raising
So
their
all
rates.
rates, because many cities get their water from the same place, right?
That's
So a
right.
bunch of cities.
Community water.
Water and wastewater is known, in the future, you're gonna see extremely high rates everywhere you go. Low water rates are going to be non-existent due to this Act 605.
But again, I just wanted to make sure that we specify that this is something that we're having to do to get in compliance with the state. And if you don't, it's just like doing something against the EPA. There are fines that could be applied to us. We don't want to do that. And if you'll remember, we are trying to get a grant, or not, going through the process to get a lower money for our sewage situation in the future, wastewater sewage plant, treatment plant.
Everything's going on, you know, we've got the wastewater treatment plant. Which direction we want to go with that, if we're going to build a plant or go regionalization. We've got the Highway 89 corridor that we're looking at. Got the engineers kind of doing a study on that, what it's going to cost to put that infrastructure, making sure along that corridor.
Now, that would be on the north and the south side of the new 89 north.
And then we have electrical issues in the wastewater side, you know, that was talked about a while back, you know, possibly costing another $2 million to correct those problems there. Again, getting our wastewater system GPS, I'll let y'all know about that earlier this year. We came CWB to do all of our GPS, and along with the GPS, they have done a overview of our wastewater collection system, the manholes, our infiltration, and I seen them today, and I asked them, as our system being 40 years old, what do you feel like our shape of our wastewater system. They said it was pretty good average system. You know, there seems several manholes that need to be done something to. There is doing cementitious and epoxy coating. I'm totally against that because I've had that done and it don't last. And I just feel like I just dumped money right down the drain to the wastewater treatment plant.
Literally.
No, yeah, really.
My opinion about that is just to replace the manhole. Now they have manholes with a product in them that will help just set off or limited the sulfuric acid getting into the concrete. And it's a good quality manhole. So
Okay.
when we get ready to start manholes, we have that's the direction I'm going to be doing.
Okay,
Question,
yes.
based on current rates where we're at now versus this proposal for starting this sequence January 1st of 2024, how big is that initial rate increase from where we are now to the 1483 and 762 per thousand?
And as far as percentage or?
Right, I mean, because we're adding 3% onto that is what was proposed here. But how big of where are our rates now?
Our current rate on the water side is the fixed is 1350.
1350? Got it.
And the variable, which is per thousand gallons.
743?
743. And in the water, you know, the proposed I proposed to y'all, I think it was 3 years, per thousand gallons was like 19 cents per year increase per thousand gallons. And then on the fixed, it was like $1.33.
Okay. Any other questions? Discussion? Good. All
Well,
right.
we have a motion, I don't know if it's been seconded, to amend it for that last line
I seconded, I believe.
as the amended.
You did second.
And so I did make the change on the last line for annual increase, beginning after each of them. 2027 on the freshwater, 2028 on the wastewater. Annual increase matching current rate of consumer price index inflation for fixed and variable rates. As to both.
Kyle, Mr. Marks, let me ask you this question. Was your proposal to set that at the CPI after this schedule? Or after, that's why I was asking about the initial rate, or starting next year for 2025's rates go by CPI as well?
No, keep the schedule that you
The
have.
3% for the-
Going forward schedule, tie it to the inflation.
CPI.
So now,
Because I think we've already got a good handle on
Base
how
on
to
this.
get to that point and then going forward.
so now the vote would be to amend, to approve the amendment, and then vote as to the amended resolution.
So,
So,
go ahead, Barbara.
so Cal made the motion to amend it to the CPI, and you seconded it, Zach?
Yes.
So we need to vote on the amendment.
Yes.
Amended part, yes.
Jennifer,
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead, yes, roll
Jennifer
call.
Massey,
Yes.
Mark Hickman,
Yes.
Zach Jeffrey,
Yes.
Jack Paul,
Yes.
Kyle Mark,
Yes.
Zach Warren.
Yes.
I've already added that language, so now take a new vote for the amended.
Do we need
the
a
amended
motion and a
resolution.
second on for the overall?
We had a
I think we
motion.
already had one,
We
yeah.
had a
We
motion
just, then we
and
took a
second
detour,
on
yeah.
The resolution
We
itself.
took a side route.
Okay. So another roll call, please.
Jennifer Massey,
Yes.
Mark Hickman,
Yes.
Zach Jeffrey,
Yes.
Jack Paul,
Yes.
Kyle Mark,
Yes.
Zach Warren.
All right. Thank you. All right, the next item under general on our agenda is Resolution 2023-11, purchasing a fire truck. Chief, Chief Tolliver will give us an overview of that, please. I don't know if that microphone is on or not. No.
Just talk loud.
Come grab this one, look like Bob Barker.
Like we've all talked about, we've located a 2004 U1 Typhoon pumper in Connecticut. We went and inspected the truck. Everything turned out great during our inspection. Looking at purchasing now. We talked with the bank, 9% interest rate, with very much higher payments than originally anticipated, of course. So just kind of want to see how y'all wanted to move forward on the truck.
And
Crystal, I'm sorry.
you'll go ahead. Krista's got some amortization, I guess, there with that.
Somewhat. The top is the 150,000, the full amount. The bottom is, using $33,000 worth of the interest off the ARPA funds, to bring that down to 117,000, which is a little more palatable when you look at the interest rate like we're on the sheet.
So Chief, walk us through this then. Might be better for Crystal to walk us through this?
I'm just now seeing it. So
Okay.
I knew about the 3113 with for the 5 years, for the 60-month term. That was what was told to us, was that one.
I just basically put this together so you would see in total how much interest
Right.
we would be paying on the truck.
But basically, again, let's remind everybody, we started off at $150,000 for the truck. And then initially, we were thinking that the payment was going to be somewhere around 100,
Yeah,
I mean,
that was-
1,000.
Well, that was for
Well,
a different truck.
it was
Right,
lower
that's
amount
what I was
of
gonna
truck.
say. And that was,
Yes.
we had lost 3 or 4 vehicles,
And then we located this one, and the payment, we thought we could extend the loan out, but we were told we could not. We had to do a 5-year loan, and you see,
actually, that's what we were told initially, that we could extend that out.
that's what we were told initially, but now,
Go ahead.
We talked about this in the workshop the other night, because we were talking about those ARPA funds that we have sitting, which is great to have money in the bank. And Mr. Marks even brought up at that workshop about, wouldn't it be nice if we could put that money in an interest-bearing account that beared more interest and made money off of it for the city, which sounds great. Here's my point. By financing this, we're going to be paying 9% interest to some bank that they're going to be making money off of our debt. Whereas if we used all of the total purchase amount out of those ARPA funds, we're essentially investing and getting a 9% yield on our money that we won't be paying to a bank.
That's right.
That's what
So-
we talked about. That's why we're coming up with this.
And that's my point. Instead of saying, well, let's take 33,000 from the ARPA funds and finance 117, I propose we finance the full amount of $150,000.
The suggestions you made was from Dale about the interest, and that's the only reason that I put this together.
But
To
to correct though, those ARPA funds are unencumbered at this point.
They are unencumbered, yeah.
We can spend them on whatever we see fit,
That's
and
my understanding, although it's not finalized yet. I mean, we supposedly, we got the money and we've spent the money, so it's just they're gathering interest.
even if that wasn't though, it's my understanding based on those final rules that we went over time and time
We
again,
can use it.
that we could use that for fire anyway.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. I was just looking at that.
So we're double
That's-
good.
That's the whole purpose in trying to find a little bit better fire truck that lasts a lot longer, and then we can save all that interest, and then we don't have, it's just gonna save us guys long term, because it's like our police cars, we've got several finance that we shouldn't, but this is a big, this is a big deal.
Especially when you see the interest rate and how much.
Well, Mr. Marks, what are your thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
well, no, I mean, it's just add the 33 to 145, and that's what you end up paying at the end, so, I mean, yeah.
Also, let's don't lose sight, would you explain what, in addition to getting the truck, why this was such a good deal? They were so gracious.
Absolutely.
They were getting a grant that's going to provide them to buy a new fire truck. In addition to that, they had another grant that was going to provide just equipping that entire new truck with all new equipment. So what they did, they were so gracious in letting us, they went through and they started naming, we're going to let you have this, we're going to let you have this. And in addition to that, they even gave us some other things that was not on that truck that they said that we could have. Now, we talked about it, that maybe we even look at it, what we don't need, we could turn around and sell and benefit from that.
I'm sold on it. I like what I've heard. I like it all, but I don't like the 28,000 in interest or the 41,000 in interest. When we've got money that we're making maybe 3 or 4% interest on, it's not coming out. So I'm going to make a motion if I can.
That's what, yes.
To use ARPA funds to pay for the truck in full, go get the thing, get it home, let's get it to work.
I was notified last night the truck was available to pick up.
I'll second it.
Now,
One second.
the resolution does have a paragraph about ARPA funds.
Oh,
It's,
good.
section 3 allows the treasurer to use ARPA funds, so that, yes to the motion, but you may not need to make it, it's already part of it.
Already in this resolution, 2023-11.
Okay, well, I don't want to, then I make them, I don't know if I need to make a motion not
Is there already
to
a
do
motion on the
this,
floor?
But we don't want to do this, I don't think.
Let's
That's
clean this, let's get this, a decision on this first, and then, I think, yeah, then that would be a good time for,
Did somebody already make
For
the
that
motion to buy the truck?
I'll make,
well, I don't think we've read it.
Well,
We've read the resolution.
didn't we go through that before, that authorized me to confirm the deal when we went and checked on the truck? Now, after that, I think we were to come back and do
this
the resolution to make it all legal. Yes. So what do we need to do?
Well, let's read it, and then
Okay.
do a motion in order to, a motion second. Resolution 2023-11, a resolution authorizing purchase of a 2004 E1 Typhoon pumper truck by Mayflower Fire Department.
make the motion to adopt resolution to 2023-11.
I'll second.
Thank you.
And then noting that at section 3, it says the city treasurer is authorized to use any available funds for the CARES Act, which has been allocated for that.
For the reimbursement of part or all of the purchase described.
So do we need to specify that, or?
Yeah, now would be a good time for Mark's.
I would like to make a motion on that.
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion that we specify that we use that we pay for the entire fire truck out of the ARPA funds.
Now, do we need to set a dollar amount on that? Because is that the 150 plus the 2,800 delivery fee?
It was a little over 38.
Or 38?
However you want to do it. It was,
Yes, the answer is yes.
So
Let's
how do
just
we,
go up to,
can we word it up to $155,000?
Something like that.
Make it that motion then, up to $155,000.
Did you get that, Barbara?
I have two motions.
I know, that's
Second, no vote.
That's what I'm saying. Let's hold on. Marcus, Barbara's doing the best
Okay.
she can right now.
Roger Smith over there.
That's it.
Well, actually, I have a motion from Kyle Marks, seconded by Mark Hickman, to adopt resolution 2023-11.
We need to vote on that first, all right?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So,
Oh, Dustin told you wrong. He told you to talk about it.
or do we?
We
need
haven't
to-
taken the vote, that's true, we have
Or
not
do we
taken.
need to take a vote on the amended part to pay for it out of the CARES?
Do we need two separate votes?
Yes, but it's not an amendment, just do the vote first as to the adopting the resolution.
Okay.
And then the funding would come next,
Then the
yes.
funding,
Okay. So the first vote, are we going to take the vote, or no, we need to take a roll call on this?
Okay, so this is to adopt the resolution.
Yes.
Jennifer Mackey,
Yes.
Mark Hickman,
Yes.
Zach Jeffrey,
Yes.
Jack Paul,
Yes.
Kyle Martin,
Yes.
Zach Warren.
I will abstain from voting on this.
You're fire department,
Good job.
That's not what he was saying when we were up in.
It's not what he told me the other night either.
I'm gonna tell you, that was not his position when we were up there.
okay? This is recorded.
That's it.
Okay, so now we want to do on the funding,
Yes.
and that's gonna be that Mark Hickman made the motion to pay the entire amount up to $155,000, and Kyle Mark seconded that.
But we're also going to add the delivery fee to that.
That's
The-
about
Yeah.
it.
That included it.
Did you say 155?
155, yes.
Up to
Up to
155.
155. Good with that?
Yes, that would cover it.
Jennifer Massey,
Yes.
Mark Hickman,
Yes.
Zach Jeffrey,
Yes.
Jack Paul,
Yes.
Kyle Mark,
Yes.
Zach Warren.
Okay, thank you. Now, do we have, we're finished with voting on the purchase of the fire truck, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank y'all, appreciate it.
Thank you, Zach. Chief. And Zach. Okay, the next thing, we didn't have this on the agenda earlier, I omitted it, but Chief Hunter, would you come and talk to us about the code enforcement officer?
I'll bring you with me.
Yes. Let me just introduce this. A couple of weeks ago, the city hired John Wilson for our code enforcement officer, and we are really glad to have him. We think this is a huge investment for our city, that we're going to grow that into improving our overall city image, and we've been lacking in that. The intent is not to come out and give people a 2-day notice before we fine them or give them some kind of huge monetary incentive that they would have to do something. No, we're wanting to work with people. We're wanting to be receptive to other people's needs, and we're going forward again to treat people like we want to be treated with this. And having said that, again, we want to welcome John. I think everybody has met him before. Again, he started a couple of weeks ago, and we're glad to have him on board. Thank you so much. We're going to be seeing more of John.
Passing around the council report for code enforcement that John has generated on the things that he's done since he's been here. If y'all haven't met John, he did work here before as a patrol officer. He left for a period of time, figured out he didn't want to be out in the private sector anymore. He needed to be back close to us, so he came back and he's doing a wonderful job for us. We're expanding the roles of what the code enforcement officer has previously been. We're going to encompass not only the environmental side that was being done when we could do it before, after we lost our code enforcement guy, but we're going to incorporate the construction and inspections that the fire marshal's office doesn't do. We've already started looking for classes for him to go to get him certified in those areas. I think he signed up for one today. It's an 80-hour course for new construction and foundations and everything else. So it's going to be a lot better program than what Mayflower's ever had as far as code enforcement. We're working on the reporting system also, like you see. It's kind of more digital what the fire marshal uses, able to track and report follow-up dispatches, notifications, and stuff like that. I've been focusing kind of on vacant properties by areas right now until we get the department kind of built up where it needs to be and stuff like that. So we're looking to do a lot more than what's been done.
I think a lot of education needs to be done too, because I don't think a lot of these people realize, oh, that's not within code, or that, and things like that. Some of them don't care, but some of them don't know either. Some of them.
As the chief said, we signed up for a course for the building inspection. That's an 80 hour. You have to have 80 hours fast.
I'm just talking about with the citizens. They don't
With
know what the
citizens,
law is. They don't
Right.
know that we have codes.
We're going to work towards, with our new website that we have, we're able to push out information better than we have before. The goal is in a very short period of time, since we now have city ordinances that are codified, that we can get those on the website and get our city ordinances
Good.
posted. We're working towards a packet that can be given out to everybody that is coming in for permits, that can be given specifics on what their criteria has to be.
Oh, that's nice.
And the website, easy access.
But Jennifer, you're exactly right. We're wanting to, if nothing else, to have some town hall meetings, introduce John, talk about various things that's going on, and talk about those, give people examples of that sort of thing. We all know that we live in an area that we have a number of senior citizens. We have people that, some people can't do what's needed in their yards and this type of thing. We're sympathetic to that. We have a way that we could gather volunteers and help people. And so when John comes across things like that, he's going to funnel those back up to me, and we're going to look at, we can see from a voluntary standpoint, volunteers to do that. We cannot do that with city funds or city on-time employees or city equipment. But we've got others that has equipment and this type of thing that I think that we need to do that sort of thing for those individuals that cannot do that for themselves.
Well, and I know one thing too, I'd sent out an email to all of us.
Yes,
About,
so-
because we had lots of complaints about the garage sale that's constantly
Yes.
going down here. And when I looked, we actually already have an ordinance that if you have more than 4 a month, it's considered a business.
Yes.
And so they would need to buy a business license down there. And I think that will either make him stop or.
At least we'll be getting some revenue, and we
Yeah.
know about it. It has to
Yeah.
be registered.
Right.
And the same thing we talked about with your what they call mobile vendors in terms of your food trucks and that sort of thing. That's another issue. But what we decided when John came in here, we didn't want to go through and have just a huge looking at all these different items. We were going to start off on something simple as far as the environmental, the grass cutting, this type of thing. And then once that process is down pat, then we move on to another one. John has done a really good job on getting this done. And I will say this, I don't want anybody to come to me and say, I'm being picked on for this. And I'll tell you why. We were at the meeting last Thursday, and in front of everybody, he embarrassed me because I'm on the list that I hadn't cut the grass at my lake house. This is on East Ridge Road. And so he's using that as a demonstration, and I'm saying, hey, this is great software and this type of thing. And and I'm sure it was an accident, that he just brought up this. But my property was shown as the example that I hadn't cut the grass. But I did cut it. I've already told him about that. But again, it's a work in progress. And so he's doing a good job.
Does he have an official truck? Because I saw you.
Well, that's coming up.
Street department truck. So
I'm glad, that's a
like,
great segue over to the other.
We need something official.
There's some things that we're gonna have to work through as for some of the permits and fines and stuff that such as the yard sale thing. That's never been enforced in Mayflower that I'm aware of. That's one of the learning curves that we have to educate the people on. We'll get that out there, we'll stop and give them a copy of the code. He's hanging door flyers, door hangers with 7-day warnings on there, giving them time. And we'll work with folks as long as they're trying. I mean, if they're putting out no effort to change anything, that's a different story. But we're going to go from there. All that leading up to what Ms. Massey just said, yes, we do not have a vehicle for code enforcement. We borrowed one from the street department to use for the time being. We've been looking for a used truck. Used market is insane. They want almost as much for new used trucks that are of any value than we can buy on state contract. Just a couple of examples, we found a 2021 and it had 44,000 miles on it, they want $37,000 for it. There was another one that was a 2021. It's more than the state contract price, and it had 70,000 miles on it. State contract price on trucks right now, and Dale suggested that we have the money for this, if the council will approve it, to just buy a new fleet truck and finance it over a 4-year period rather than paying it in a lump sum right now, since we're just in the conception of this program and getting it initiated the way it needs to be.
How much is the truck?
The fleet cost on the truck is they're showing $44,000, but the contract price on it is $40,980.
The one that had 70,000 miles on it, they want 37,000 for it. So you're talking about just a few more thousand to get a brand new truck.
Chief, what kind of equipment are we talking about for upfitting for code enforcement? Just
That's-
signage, just decals?
That's minimal, and some of that can be added as we go. We want to put some graphics on the side that said code enforcement, City of Mayflower. Ever how they go, want that to be laid out, we can do that. We need to put him a couple amber lights on it. We can start with that and build on it as we go. It's not something that all has to be done day one.
What kind of truck is this?
This one is a Chevrolet 1500.
Four-wheel drive.
It's a four-wheel drive. It's a Chevrolet 1500 with a 5.3.
Now, when we say room in the budget, Dale was talking, was that out of police budget?
No, that's out of general.
What would be the difference in that and a smaller truck, like the smaller size compact truck that you probably get a lot better gas miles, all that? Would you be opposed to that?
I'm not opposed to it.
Because if you bought one of them, if there's a price enough difference.
We know we want a four-wheel drive.
Oh, absolutely. I would
Be able to tow a trailer.
Yeah.
Right.
That's two things. That was part of it, was the hauling and towing ability for it.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna tow a trailer, then you may need,
The vehicle will have a printer in it, it will have a computer in it, it will have several things in it. That's why we were looking at the quad cab, as far as equipment goes, room to have it, but a lot of it.
What I'm wanting is when he's out, the phones, if somebody calls over here, wants information on a permit, that phone is going to be forwarded to John's phone. He's out in the field. And let's say somebody wants a printout of a permit or whatever. He's going to have the capability, he's going to have those copies with him in that truck, almost like another file cabinet in the back seat. That's why we're talking about a larger truck. I want him to have a printer and with the computer that he has, so that if somebody, he's going to be the one that's going to be handling the permits and that type of thing. If somebody wants to come to him here in Mayflower, he either has it or he can print it off from his truck, that sort of thing. Then other times when he's in the office, he'll take care of it in the office. But John will be handling everything going forward at a certain time when he's familiar with everything of what Barbara was doing over there. That's the idea.
I guess I'm hung up on that, thinking back to the fire truck, that 9% interest over 4 years. That's the only thing that's got me hung up and thinking we gotta have a truck. We gotta do what we gotta do, but we may wanna look at our options.
Yeah, is it roughly 9% on the interest rate?
We've not even gone that.
Yeah.
8.5 is prime right now, it will not be below that.
Okay.
We
Good
have not
point.
talked to anybody about financing or anything. This is preliminary, bringing this to y'all to see what you
Right.
want us to do.
Would you do me a favor, make me feel warm and fuzzy if you would,
I don't know about that.
if you would look at like one of the, I don't know, like
The Colorado, is
the Colorado Ranger, the big cab, all that kind of stuff that with a V6, and see if there's enough price difference to justify, because that's going to get around on the city streets a lot easier. You're going to get better fuel mileage. I don't know what you're planning on pulling, or what, a lawnmower?
That's another thing. We've got to get back to the fees and stuff. Are we gonna contract this out, or are we gonna bid things that have to be cleaned up? That's a different topic, but that's something else we've got to figure out.
I think probably I think we need to have a workshop on this right here and create that position or help, kind of create the whole gamut rather than a surprise vehicle during council meeting that we've not discussed and not, because I'm for it, don't get me wrong, but I think we definitely need to look at our
Can we work
options.
this into the workshop
Yeah.
coming up?
Well, I think it would be a good place for it, and this, I'm glad you brought that up, because when I asked what budget does this come from, does it come from PD budget? You said, no, it'd be general. It makes me think if this is a department we're gonna create that's gonna be independent, does it need its own budget section?
Yeah.
That's independent from general, that's
Crystal had
independent
already
from.
set that up, didn't you, Crystal?
Yeah, it already has
Yes.
its own,
Yes.
department, and
We
it's-
did
But I'm looking at funding it for what the scope we're gonna have.
It's
That's,
actually got a budget this year, but,
We-
of course, that'll change.
We wanted it to be mutually exclusive
Sure.
from any other,
He's
other
not
area.
just working with the police department, he's working with the fire department,
Sure.
and fire marshal, more than this position has ever done.
the only reason that I asked the chief, he was more familiar with going through the state process, and he was surprised that he found a new one when the guy called him on that. That would just happen this week. I
This
mean,
time of year, a fleet truck new, there are some used out there, but I didn't ask about the smaller trucks. I asked about full-size four-wheelers, and that's what they said.
And it may not be a doable deal, I don't know, but if the interest rates we're paying now, and like I said before, and we'll talk about next week, is, we've got a lot of stuff financed that we're paying a whole lot of money for. When you get the higher interest rates, we gotta curtail that somewhere, but anyway, we'll talk about that later on.
By the time we have the meeting next
Yeah.
Thursday, I'll have some stuff put together.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean the truck's gonna be available, because if we don't put a PO in on it, they're
Right.
not gonna hold it.
Yeah, well,
Right.
we'll, that's what I think we ought to do, but that's.
I agree.
well, if it means that we still agree that it should be a full side and so on and so forth, but we have time to talk about it next week, even if this one is gone, we go forward and maybe we may have to pay for a little bit more for it, but at least we'll be all on the same page.
Get what we want. Well, and while it's not ideal, we are in a vehicle of the street departments right now
Right
on
now,
loan.
right now.
So, I said, we are in a vehicle of the street departments on
Yes.
loan. It's not ideal, not
No,
saying
it's
it's
not.
ideal,
Well,
but,
that's one reason I've been doing what I've been
Sure.
doing as far as environmental.
Sure.
And
Right.
non-occupied.
Yeah. But we appreciate you looking. I know there's a short notice, and that's what, I asked the chief if he would start looking because, we were wanting to move to that. But yes, if we're having that meeting Thursday, let's just talk about it then, see what you come up with between now and then, on the various trucks, and then we can talk as a whole, looking at that budget for him.
well, because my point, we're gonna need that budget item for
Yes.
operation, maintenance, fuel, that sort of thing, so.
Right, but this is an entirely new budget. that
Exactly.
We're going to have to set up for that, and so that would be separate than from the police department, even though I've asked Chief to help me out on that.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Questions? Okay. May I have 30 seconds on a different topic?
Yes,
Baby box.
yes.
Our baby box has been paid for. It is en route. We've raised enough money, pretty quickly to pay for the box itself. I have money promised for the construction and expense costs, that should hopefully be here this week. The baby box is supposed to be here Thursday. The bids that we got in, Napol's was the least expensive on those. They have given me a preliminary date of November the 2nd for the installation. The fire department is still helping us with this. We're gonna get together and, make sure that everything is done on that. And then after the testing and the alarm systems are tested, the numerous times that they have to be tested, we'll have kind of a grand opening ceremony for that, and everybody will be invited when we know that.
Good job on that, chief.
Good job.
And thank you,
Oliver,
as
Chief.
well.
Yeah, don't leave out.
No, I said, and the fire department.
Yeah.
Chief Tolliver and his wife as well. Good job on that.
Yes, excellent, excellent. Okay, next on the agenda. Do we have any old business? All right, any comments?
I actually have something I wanted to bring up,
Okay.
Mayor. It's been brought to me by several residents. We changed trash service, and it's been it's been a process over the past few months. There have been some complaints and things. I know there's growing pains.
Yes.
One complaint that I've received that I've noticed myself, in a reduction of services that the new trash company offered, based on the bids we put out, not having recycling and all that, the trade-off to that was a cheaper rate. That was our whole sticking point in our bid, was to go with the cheapest rate. We awarded that bid at the end of August to take effect in September, the way I understand it. But on the water bills where the sanitation is billed, we haven't seen a reflection of that lower rate on the bill to the customers. I understand, along with the rate that we're paying for the contract to the sanitation company, Zella's company, and any in-house billing and things like that that we need to do to cover ourselves for that billing process. But I feel like we're still charging the consumers and ourselves way too much for the services that we're rendering at this point. If my numbers are correct, I don't have my bill in front of me. I'm wanting to say it was somewhere around $21.82 per month. Does that sound?
I think that was the.
Does that sound correct?
With the old contract.
With the old, which is what we're still billing
That's
customers.
exactly right.
Just to be full out there with it, as I recall, we awarded that contract to Zella's at $14 per customer.
That's correct.
Even if we put $2 on for billing, and I think around $1.50, $2 is standard rate, I feel like we could cut that $21.82 down to $16 a month for our customers, to make that fair, to where they're paying for the services they're getting, because they're no longer getting recycling. We're no longer getting the yard waste pickup and the things that we were paying for under that. And furthermore, again, there's a lot to be done here. I don't know if that contract was paid on the front end to Waste Connections or the back end.
They
Billed us for September or for August? I mean, how?
They billed us for August, and I think we got another bill, but I don't think it was a full bill because they helped with.
In the transition, yes.
And my question was, because I know November's bills are fixing to go out next week. There's no time to change that $21.82. Raymond, it's my understanding that's already in the works, right? There would be no way to change that rate for November's bills. That's already set.
And you're exactly right, Zach. And what we're working on right now is that I've talked with Megan, one of the owners of our new trash pickup, and we've gotten several calls asking if we would consider having yard waste put up back into service. And so I've talked to Megan, and what she's going to do is run the numbers and see where they are on that. That's why we basically haven't had a true up as of yet. Well, everybody here agrees that we're going to have a true up from the time this new contract was implemented to the time that where we are. We just thought we would hold off one more month until we get this other dollar amount that she's going to charge for the yard waste
If
pickup.
we agree to that.
That's right, that's
Sure.
right. And I'm trying to work with her on that and see if we can get that as low as possible. But whatever that is, if we decide to go with that, then we would definitely have a true up including the different months. That would be reflected on the customer's bill as a credit.
Yes.
They would not get a separate check or that type
Sure.
of thing, but due to the calculations, when we could get that implemented based on what we get worked out, the deal with the yard waste pickup, when all of that would be implemented and we know all the dollar amounts, that's when we would go back and true up every customer
Sure.
going forward.
And I'm fine with that. I know it takes some time for those billing processes and things, but I just wanted to be on record and make sure that we understood
No doubt.
we're not just looking to charge the same price we were paying.
No.
When we're not, as citizens, when we're not getting we haven't gotten those services for
No,
September,
that was never
for
the
October.
intention.
Right,
You're right.
and I get that. I
You're
completely understand that. Just to know that we're gonna set that bill right once we know where that
Yes.
rate lands,
Well, that was the idea. We
Right.
were hoping in order to get, we had those 4 individual companies bidding, and that's what our hope was, that we could get it as cheap as possible, but still maintain our standards in terms of our trash pickup. And that's what we're doing. So we're working through that. But yes, to answer your question, we all agree there will be a true up from when we get all of this implemented in terms of when it goes, we go back and we know that the date when they started, and we do the full true up, and then going forward, then it will be consistent from that point forward.
Sounds good.
So that's in the.
And I know we don't have a set date on her, but what's the timeline we're looking at on the proposal for the yard waste?
I'm hoping, she said that next week that she should have something.
So
And
we should be
maybe-
able to get this in place before November's meeting, then, is my point.
Yes, that's the goal.
Raymond, what would be the timeline on billing to get that corrected for December's
For
bill, do you
December's
think?
bill.
We have to do something around the 15th
Of November?
of the month.
But it would be best if it is even earlier than that. Yes. I don't think that's gonna be a problem.
Okay. I would just like to see this corrected by the end of the year
I just didn't want to say that about what I thought it was. We need her to.
Yes,
Send
absolutely.
me something.
Well, and if it's too high, if we think
That's
it's
right,
something
if
that we
it's too
can't,
high.
then we can true up all the way
Exactly
down to the 16 or whatever we land on as far as,
And that was the intent. We will true up based on if we implement them for the trash, for the yard waste pickup, or we don't. But whatever, we're going to be truing up in the near future. So that, I'm hoping that we can get this straightened out before we roll over into December.
I do too, yes.
Into January. Yes. That's a great point. Thank you for bringing it up. Okay, any other comments?
Along with the water, along with this trash, to my understanding, our past water contract, they had, not the water, the trash contract, they had gotten to where they, even though you have a recyclable bin, the items were not being recycled.
No.
So basically, and I had been asked this question before several times, but we were paying for the recycling. At times, they would come and pick up your recycling as if they were, but then when they get to the facility, it's not being recycled. So therefore, it doesn't make sense to pay for it if it's not being recycled anyway.
Right.
That's how the past
Yeah.
contract went.
Yep.
And that's why we left it off. It's not that the city is anti-recycling or
recycling,
against
no.
the recycling, it just wasn't working, so there's no needed for the citizen to pay for something to make them feel good when it wasn't happening anyway.
And in addition to that, you're exactly right. But the companies that sell us did not specify that they would not do recycling. The other 3 said recycling is not it's not on the table.
That's right.
We're doing away with recycling, and that appears to be the trend of trash people. Now in Conway, that's a different situation,
Yeah.
but for us, that's basically why.
Right.
We chose not to, because it wasn't available.
Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to
Great
make that
point.
clear.
Great point.
Because there's people that misunderstood, and
No.
I kind of felt like that.
We're
we
not
were,
against.
It was looking at us like we were not wanting to recycle.
No,
Well, it's
that's
not
a
that we were
personal-
not
That's
wanting to
exactly
recycle.
right.
It just wasn't being recycled
That's
anyway.
right.
So.
That's a personal decision,
Yes.
but it just didn't work out with the new trash contract.
Right.
Okay, good point. Any other comments? All right, under announcements, our next regular city council meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, November the 28th, 2023. That will begin at 7 p.m. Our next council workshop meeting that we were just talking about, that is scheduled for November the 12th, 2023. That's on a Thursday. It begins at 6 p.m. And then our next planning commission meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, November the 9th, 2023 at 7 p.m.
So we changed that workshop meeting to November the 2nd.
November the 2nd?
Yeah, next Thursday.
Okay. So again, our next council workshop meeting will be next Thursday, is that correct?
Yes, the second.
And that's November the 2nd,
Yes, sir.
and that also will begin at 6 PM. Was I correct on that, or did we move that back as
No, it
well?
was 6.
It was 6, okay. All right. With that,
I make a motion to adjourn.
thank you. Do I have a second?
Yes.
The council is closed.